So when Republic forces arrived at the Battle of Geonosis at the very start of the Clone Wars, they brought a wide variety of vehicles and equipment to the battlefield. Everything from capital ships to walkers. But the impressive thing about this massive military is that it was constructed completely in secret. So today we're going to take a look at exactly how the Republic kept the Grand Army of the Republic a secret from the entire galaxy. I'm Colin, and this is Sci-Fi Deep Dive. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, to head down below and hit that subscribe button. So, as many of us know, the Grand Army of the Republic was constructed in secret. But not just the physical soldiers that made up the Grand Army of the Republic, but all of the equipment that they used on the battlefield, from armor to blasters to tanks to warships. How exactly did the Galactic Republic and the companies contracted to manufacture this equipment keep these things a secret and build an entire army's worth of equipment in the dark? Well, today we're going to take a look at exactly what methods they used to kind of keep these under wraps. Let's start with the obvious first component of this military, the clones themselves. As many of us know, the clones that made up the Grand Army of the Republic were cloned on Camino, a relatively secretive world that was known for their cloning capabilities. To protect this cloning operation, Camino was wiped from a lot of maps and struck from several galactic records. It helped that the Kaminoans were rather reclusive and didn't venture far from their planet to begin with, which made it easy to sort of keep this whole operation a secret. The Kaminoans manufactured a lot of components for the soldiers of the Grand Army of the Republic on Camino. This allowed them to keep the construction of this army and the equipment needed for the soldiers in this army a secret. But what about the larger equipment? I'm talking specifically about the ATTE, the LAAT, and the capital ships utilized by the Grand Army of the Republic at the start of the war. Well, that comes down to a Kuat Drive Yard subsidiary, Rathana Heavy Engineering. Rathana Heavy Engineering is a subsidiary of Kuat Drive Yards, which specializes in a very particular type of heavy equipment. And it was Rathana Heavy Engineering that constructed all of the equipment present at the Battle of Geonosis. The LAAT gunships, the ATTE walkers, and the Acclamator-class assault ships. One of the things that made Rathana Heavy Engineering a perfect company to construct these vehicles was the fact that most of their construction sites were located in secretive worlds, actually technically outside of the Outer Rim. This meant that not many people went out to visit these facilities, and they were generally really not on most maps. On top of that, they were in a position where the Republic could construct a hyperlane in between Camino and the Rathana Heavy Engineering facilities. This meant that it was easy to facilitate transportation between the construction yards where these vehicles were being built and Camino where this army was being assembled. And because this hyperlane was secretive and designed specifically for this project, nobody knew about it and nobody stumbled on it. So with Rathana Heavy Engineering manufacturing the vehicles and ships for the Grand Army of the Republic out beyond the Outer Rim, and the clones themselves being cloned on Camino, it starts to make sense how the Republic was able to keep this whole thing a secret. But there were a few elements that had to be built out in the open. One of the ones that had to be built out in the open was the Venator-class Star Destroyer. The Venator-class Star Destroyer was not built by Rathana Heavy Engineering, but instead by Kuat Drive Yards. Now, unlike Rathana Heavy Engineering, Kuat is actually based within the galaxy, and their shipyards are some of the largest and most well-known within the entire galaxy. So, them building a fleet of massive warships would catch the eyes of some onlookers. But a lot of other elements went into preparing these armies besides just building and manufacturing the equipment. These soldiers needed to be trained for combat. And the Kaminoans didn't really have much experience with combat. I mean, just look at them. So to train this massive army, they brought in several well-known bounty hunters to sort of teach these clones how to fight. I would assume the contracts that these bounty hunters were forced to sign to start working with these clones on Camino was something like an NDA, where they weren't really allowed to talk about what they were doing with anyone. All in all, Camino and those funding the construction of the Grand Army of the Republic went to incredible lengths to keep this army a secret. At the Battle of Geonosis, these forces caught the Separatists completely off guard. They had no idea who these soldiers were or where they were coming from. There was one bit of equipment, though, that I've already mentioned that was absent at the Battle of Geonosis, and that is the Venator-class Star Destroyer. If you want to learn some theories about why the Venator wasn't present at Geonosis, I'll leave a link up here to my video on that. And I want you to let me know down in the comments whether you think all of this was really necessary. Do you think this army had to be built in secret, or do you think it would have been better to build it out in the open? And if you have anything you want to see me cover from Star Wars, leave it down below in the comments. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, head down below, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. So for Sci-Fi Deep Dive, I'm Colin, and I will see you next time.